Welcome to Mom and Mind, a podcast about maternal mental health, from conception to pregnancy and postpartum. Real stories from moms and family members who have made it from struggling to wellness, and interviews with experts and advocates who work for moms and families to get the help they need. We discuss very real struggles that can sometimes be hard to hear, but these are stories that need to be told so that moms and families can know that healing is possible. This podcast is meant to offer information and awareness and is not a replacement for treatment by a professional. Thank you for being with us today. This episode touches on topics that may be sensitive for some listeners. Welcome to Mom and Mind. I'm your host, Dr. Kat. Today, we're welcoming back Dr. Shosh. Thank you so much for coming back to talk with us again. If any of you missed our first episode with Dr. Shosh, please check it out to find out more about her and the many books she's contributed to the field. Affectionately known as Dr. Shosh, she educates, engages, and empowers her audiences while discussing serious and often uncomfortable topics using humor, the latest research, solution-based protocols, and firsthand knowledge she gleaned after experiencing life-threatening postpartum depressions. She's the creator of the free app PPD Gone and is an executive producer of the new documentary Dark Side of the Full Moon. She has recently co-founded the Postpartum Action Institute, and we're going to learn more about all of this today. So thank you for coming back, Dr. Shosh. We're looking forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Dr. Kat. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation back.
Absolutely. Well, you're a wealth of knowledge and you've contributed so much to the field. And I really wanted to make sure our listeners understand all of the things that you're providing in terms of training and support and really, really great resources for people. So the first thing I'd love to dive right into is for you to tell us about the Postpartum Action Institute.
You know, of all the projects going on right now, I'd have to say the Postpartum Action Institute is way up there at the top. Jane Honickman, who is the founder of Postpartum Support International and also a friend of mine, starting before she even had the first conference for PSI, way back. We're talking about the 80s when we first met. Jane Honickman and I decided that based on our mindset, our philosophy of the field and what really needs to be happening, we founded the Institute, the Postpartum Action Institute, with the emphasis on action. And what the Institute's main goal is to bridge the gap between wonderful work that clinicians are doing, whether they be psychotherapists or MDs or others, and also what's happening at the grassroots level with support groups and community activists and parent advocates. And there's been a gaping hole for years. At least the work's going on both ends, so to speak. But there's really been a big gap between the two, so that at many conferences, it's only clinicians. At other trainings, there's only the support group leaders. And we're wondering what's happening. These people need to be in the same room,
Right.
And we need to know not only what each other is doing, but connecting our communities together so that a community knows where the clinicians are and the clinicians know how to connect their patients and clients with the right kind of support groups and classes and such. So we are really bridging that gap, and we're very excited about it.
Wow, that's amazing and fantastic work. Congratulations on all the work that you've done to put into this and get this going. And I can really tell and hear how much passion you have for this, for the Postpartum Action Institute and the work that you do in general. So if you can give our listeners a little bit more detail, what's the setup for the training and what are people getting? And
okay, and no, absolutely. It's a day and a half. The training is a 9 to 4 on the first day and 9 to noon on the second. And if they come to Santa Barbara for the training, I should also mention we're invited to go to other communities around the country to provide. It's a lot easier sometimes if there are 10, 12 folks in a community, it's much more advantageous for them to invite us to do the training there as opposed to everybody
Sure.
coming to Santa Barbara. But
Right.
what we do, first of all, oh gosh, we do so much. We help to dispel any myths if they're floating around. We only accept 10 or maybe 12 max people. So we're very, very open, very intimate setting. So if there are any myths about uh, uh, what postpartum illness is,
Mhm.
we help people get completely comfortable with the topic. So anybody
Right.
leaving that institute wouldn't have any problem talking about it, uh, asking questions to the people they're working with, they're running into in the grocery store. They're just
Right.
absolutely, it's all completely destigmatized. It's amazing we can walk around with all of that. But
Right.
as the training develops, we I will talk about the nuances, the what you might see and hear that is not taught at any other training. When you're
Right.
talking with new parents, even if they seem fine to you, it's how you
Right.
can elicit the information in case the parents are not doing well, and then how what to say to them and
Right.
what not to say, including
Mhm.
body language. So
Right.
those kinds of communications are discussed in such depth and detail that it's been such a relief. It's like some of the
Mhm.
puzzle pieces fit. You see the participants of the training go, oh,
Right.
okay, you mean so I shouldn't be leaning back and having this look on my face, and it's just we really get into the detail. And one of the most exciting pieces of the training is the action piece. So the second day, that half day, we're really doing Jane and I are doing lots of one-on-one with the
Mhm.
participants, and we have time to do that, and help them if they have any particular goals or plans or what they'd like to bring into their community or develop more fully in their
Mhm.
community, even if somebody came just for personal interest or a family member has been suffering or whatever, that they
Right.
they might want to do something more with that person or know how to support their family member more. But for instance, last time we had a training, there was someone who she was a survivor, but she's well and she's been well for a long time. She really wanted to begin a support group, but not just begin it in a vacuum. She had plans of contacting the professionals around her, coming in and doing little talks for them. So everyone was she was starting a network in her particular
Oh,
community in Northern California. That's what it's about. It's about networking and collaborating. And that's what
fantastic.
the Institute is about. So hopefully that wasn't too much information, but
Oh,
people
no,
are excited and pumped and really, really wanting to get stuff started.
that's such an amazing resource, and there are well, actually, I was gonna say very few places you can do that, but really you would only be able to get that kind of training if you're one-on-one with an expert.
Exactly right. So it's not that there aren't wonderful trainings of various kinds around the country. There certainly are.
Sure, sure.
I mean, you and I do other kinds of trainings that are certainly valuable, but this one is really unique in
Mhm.
the intimacy of it, and also what Jane and I offer to graduates of the institute is a year long free access to us. So as they go
Wow.
through, yeah, as they go through putting their plans into action, that might be tweaked a bit as they see what's already
Mhm.
happening or not happening in their communities.
Mhm.
Whatever's going on, they can call, they can email, and they will get us. And we charge for our, typically, we charge
Sure,
for
yeah.
consultations, but
Mhm.
but not for the graduates of the institute. So that's a it's
Wow,
a yeah it's a big plus,
that's
and
amazing.
graduates have been utilizing it, and we're absolutely delighted to hear from them.
Oh, that is such an amazing resource and so rare, if not, it doesn't I don't know, does it even exist at all? It
No,
does sounds like
actually,
the
it
first of
doesn't.
its
It's
kind.
it's the first of
Right,
its kind, at least in the United States. There's
right.
one that comes close in France, but that's the only other one I know that's happening. So in the US, this is it.
Wow, 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 wow. I might just like hop on in just to experience it
You'd be
firsthand. It sounds
welcome with open
amazing.
arms. Absolutely.
Well, and it sounds like you have a lot of different disciplines, a lot of different professions coming in there. Can you give me some examples of types of folks who've come in?
Yes, we have had a pediatric nurse
Mhm.
come in. We have had an emergency care worker, also an RN, actually. We have had a couple of survivors who are also now in the medical field doing
Mm,
various things. We've had a psychologist come in. We've had an MFT, a marriage and family therapist, come in who really wants to open her practice as this being a specialty, and she
oh,
wants information. But we also have had clergy come. We've had
fantastic.
yes, we have had a reverend come
Mm,
to learn more, because again, clergy. If you think about it,
mhm.
people who are plugged into their faiths often go to the heads of their communities in their
Right.
spiritual life and
Right.
ask for guidance when there's problems, either mental health problems in the family, and the
Mhm.
clergy want to know more. They don't know how, they're not trained in their
Right.
in their schooling
Mhm.
about perinatal mood and anxiety disorder specifically.
Right.
So it's really such an eclectic bunch, which is part of our excitement, because this is how it should
Absolutely.
be. We shouldn't be separated into this group clinicians go over there and this group of
Mhm.
you know community workers and activists go over
Right.
there. We need to be blended.
Right.
Yes, that second day, as I mentioned, we can go into the specifics of what each person in their own discipline or just for their personal knowledge wants to do with the information. But as a
Mhm.
group, as the small group, sharing
Right.
insights has really been invaluable.
Right. So people who may be in one discipline are hearing how these moms may be affected when they're going to see a different kind of provider or different kind
Exactly.
of
And
care. Wow.
they're getting ideas from everybody
Mhm.
else as to what they might
Mhm.
want to change in their programs.
So cool. Such an amazing resource. Fantastic. Thank you for all of that information. Is there any last bit
Oh, sure.
about the Action
The
Institute that you're
website.
yeah.
As what I want to say to your listeners, Dr. Cat, is anyone who has had the interest in tuning in to your wonderful broadcasts, they would be welcome, because these are the people who are interested for no matter what, whether clinician, whether for personal knowledge. I
Right.
encourage your listeners to go to postpartum, it's one word, postpartumaction.org, O-R-G. And you can
Fantastic.
read our mission statement, our philosophy. It's very easy to register for upcoming trainings, and we would love to hear from you. Any questions, feel free to email me directly, email Jane directly. We'll be so happy to get in touch and answer whatever questions you might have before you register, if there are any.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic. And for sure, I will also be putting all of the websites and information about all of the things that you do up under the podcast where people will be able to find that information. And also, we'll be directing them back to your website for even more information just about you and what you do at www.drshosh.com, drshosh.com. So I'll restate all of that stuff in our show notes and have that available for
Oh,
everyone.
thank you. Great.
Absolutely, yes, everyone should go. So I would love to also hear now more about Dark Side of the Full Moon and your role in that documentary. And I'll, if it's useful for our listeners, I'll also share my experience and interaction with the film.
Oh, I'd be so happy to do this. A number of years ago now, Maureen Fura, who was the filmmaker, but she was doing other projects then. She was a survivor of perinatal illness, connected with Jennifer Silliman, also a survivor of this illness, and they then contacted me. They had a wonderful, exciting plan to create the kind of film that has never ever been created before. And frankly, to this date in 2016, although there are other films coming on the horizon, there is still nothing that comes close to what we have portrayed in this film. There are other good films. Certainly, there's room for all good films out there
Oh,
and all
absolutely.
resources. But we're especially proud of Dark Side of the Full Moon, and they did approach me to be an executive producer so that I could guide them as a clinician could guide
Mhm.
them and what to cover and what not. This film talks to the masses, really. It
Mhm.
talks to, there's no one who can't, there's no woman who has ever gone through this or knows somebody who've gone through this, women or men, who couldn't relate to the film. And
Mhm.
this is a film that has it has propelled the field of maternal mental health forward. We
Absolutely.
purposely, thank you, we purposely wanted to focus on the everyday, regular women like you and me,
Mhm.
Dr. Cat, and,
Right.
and women that we meet in the supermarket and at our yoga classes and our next door neighbors.
Mhm.
We did have connections in Hollywood, but we particularly wanted to focus on, again, I say every day, but you know what I mean, the
Mhm.
women who, we're meeting all the time. And what happens during the film, first of all, it does take you into some pretty serious stories of what happens when women all over the country who go to their various clinics, hospitals, doctors, other trusted professionals, what can happen when these illnesses are not assessed properly and these
Right.
women are not treated well. So the stories can be, some of them are shocking and
Yeah.
hard to watch. Yeah.
Mhm.
But this is an incredibly hopeful film as well. And
Mhm.
I don't want to take away, the joy in seeing it and what happens at the end. But it's so important for clinicians to watch this film. The perinatal programs that have been started based on Dark Side of the Full Moon, the screenings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that is so exciting. We are hearing, not only we're hearing from outside the country as well, by the way, but the US
Oh, good.
especially. Yeah, there have been actual programs in hospitals and in clinics and agencies and educational institutions
Mhm.
around the country based on the information that they learned and the stories from these everyday women around the country.
Right.
It's really been so, we are all just so excited that not only is there another film, but this film isn't just another film. It's a film that is all about, again, you're going to hear this film, excuse me, this theme
Mhm.
of action. It's all
Right.
about propelling action. What can we
Absolutely.
do with this information? So we put together a packet so that when screenings are happening around the country, and at this point there have been hundreds, um, the leaders of whoever is putting on that screening, whether it's somebody in somebody's house, in a clinic, in a theater, wherever it is, there are actual questions that can be asked of the audience about their feelings about things, what can be done, what's already happening in their community, what
Mhm.
changes should be made. So again, it's not about just watching a film going, oh my gosh, how terrible,
Right.
but it's really about, okay, so now that we know there's an issue out there, what
Right.
can we do? It's a call to action. And
Absolutely.
that's
Mhm.
that's what's been happening, and that's why it's so heartwarming and wonderful
Sure.
and satisfying, for us to see what's going on around the country.
Yeah, it's, just from my perspective, I mean, I had the privilege and honor of hosting a screening of Dark Side of the Full Moon in my community in Claremont, California. And then just to be able to share it with people who were willing to come and wanted to find out more and hear their reactions afterwards, and people coming up to me after the film and saying, you know what, I think this is something I went through, or I am going through this, or
Yes.
what resources do you have? And
Oh, wonderful.
it's not just a film, it's not just a documentary, it's a teaching tool.
Yes.
It's like you said, it's a call to action, and the way that it's set up, how it's being distributed, that people can purchase the film to view, to show to whoever they want. They can rent it on some, or I don't know if that's the right word, but it's accessible to everyone, and you can bring it right into your community
That's right.
and show people why this is a problem, why this should be addressed, why these moms are, falling through the cracks, and why they're not getting the treatment that they need. And it just really brings everything to a point so that people understand the gravity of the issue, and then, like you said, offers a way forward. It's a really, the way that you all have set it up so that this is accessible and usable right into the community is invaluable.
Thank you for all of that, and again for all of your wonderful work. And I'm so glad. And this is what happens, right? When people will approach us after
Mm,
screenings, and I'm so glad they did with you. And I'm not surprised at all. You're very approachable and obviously extremely
thank
knowledgeable.
you.
Uh, uh, and uh, and that's how it happens. That's how it happens. Women will come forward, sometimes recognizing themselves, as you said, for the first time, going, "Oh,
Mhm.
maybe that's what that was, you
Right.
know?"
And what's powerful about it is you don't have to be a therapist or
That's right.
psychologist or a specialist to screen this film,
That's right.
because you also offer a list of things to think about and a list of things to talk about,
Right.
and it's really user friendly, and gives people who are wanting and willing to show this a guide on how to interact with the audience, and how to support them.
Thank you. Yes, it was an important and different and unique component to this
Mhm.
film. It is, as you say, a teaching tool, an educational tool, and the what is happening with OBs now. I mean, ACOG, their organization. We believe quite strongly through. We have gotten many messages. We don't
Mhm.
know this formally, but we know this informally, that the film has really helped to educate OBGYNs, and
Mhm.
so that they are being encouraged much more in screening, and also helping to treat, at least to send women to appropriate places when, after they've been assessed. So that's one of many, many, many in the list of that call to action that's happened.
Right, absolutely. So, Dark Side of the Full Moon, there's a website, and there are ways to get in contact with you all around, being able to screen it and access it and
Very easy, yes.
view it. Yeah, very, very easy to
It's all
do.
spelled out, darksideofthefullmoon.com. And you can see right there, first of all, you can see the trailer. And
Yeah.
also, there's an easy place that will be obvious to you if you go to the site, how you can host a screening yourself. Very, very easy. There are numerous ways to do that. And it's
Mhm.
actually the producer of the film, Jennifer Silliman, who will get it right back to you. She's lightning fast, and
Yeah.
and will help that happen. So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this film, because I'm just extra excited about it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, just in terms of the work that you do and the things that you're providing, you have the Postpartum Action Institute. That's really, good for the providers and for survivors to get the information one on one. Dark Side of the Full Moon is, can be used on so many levels. Really, really big theaters, very small, intimate in your home, and then you've gone and developed an app that people can get the support that they need right in their own hands.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Oh, and I want to add something about the film, and then we'll jump to
oh,
the app.
sure,
Just
sure.
just this week, we have talked together, the film team, and have decided that in the very near future, individuals can be able to download,
Oh,
the film right onto their device.
wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
that's in the works, but it's going to happen soon. So how about that?
It's amazing, right? This is
Yeah.
all really the effort on your part, and the women working on the film, and everyone, and with the Postpartum Action Institute with Jane Honigman. It sounds like everything that you are doing is really geared to make help and training accessible.
That's
And
it. It needs to be in everybody's hands, very
right.
accessible, which is a perfect segue to the app. Because years
Wow.
ago, a number of years ago, I think it was 2007, I started working on this. There was no app. There was no
Right.
app for postpartum depression or
Mhm.
pregnancy depression. And you know, when we wanted something, I mean, my clients wanted something literally at their fingertips, and there wasn't
Right.
anything. There wasn't anything. They could certainly Google. They could go to a couple of websites out there. They could go to mine. They could go to Postpartum Support International's. A couple of other good ones in 2007 were up there too. But there was no app, and there needed to be one. So that's why PPD Gone, was created. And I chose the name on purpose because there
Mhm.
was very little hopeful stuff on the internet. It was all
Right.
about illness, 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 and problems, problems, problems. And certainly
Right.
we have to validate how serious and how horrible this stuff can feel, right? I mean, it's very important.
Yeah.
But what women weren't seeing is at least enough of. They weren't
Right.
seeing that this stuff goes away with proper
Right.
help, right? And hopefully
Right. Right.
they'll tune into the first interview if they haven't already, because that's been my theme all along. That's been my
Mhm.
philosophy. It's like you don't have to be suffering
Right.
unnecessarily. There's so much you can do to help prevent it. At least help yourself minimize the bout. And then there's if you do suffer, there's a tremendous amount you can do to help yourself through it. So on the app, it certainly has professional resources, but it also has some radio shows that I made myself, the Dr. Shosh radio show. They can listen to these. It's all free. The app
Mhm.
is free on any kind of a downloadable
Fantastic.
device. Apple, Android, the HTML. All there. It's all there, very easily found. And there are also articles up there. There's also a bit of information on depression in fathers.
Mhm.
Also, there's the Edinburgh Postnatal Depression Scale right there on the app. So I mean,
Awesome.
it's really a wealth of information, and I update it not as frequently as I should, but I
Mhm.
definitely update it so that you women will get and families will get very good information about what's coming out, what's available, and
Mhm.
yeah, I just again, it needs to be in the hands of everyone, no matter where you live in the world. There's got to
Yeah.
be help.
This really goes in line with the accessibility, having it in the hands. So it sounds like there's a lot of information on there. And
Yes.
what kinds of things, other things, would people be able to expect if they when they download this?
Well, there are assessment tools if they're not
Mhm.
sure what it is
Right.
that they're feeling. They might be able to help themselves figure it out by reading the
Mhm.
information there and helping to assess themselves. There is information for spouses. There's information
Mhm.
for loved ones. There are books listed on there. There are other
Mhm.
resources on there. Again, there are audios of
Mhm.
various sorts on there. There are videos of various
Fantastic.
sorts on there, all related to perinatal mood and anxiety disorders and how to get help and how to get well. So, again, the,
Wow.
the emphasis is on the identification of what's happening and then the treatment to full wellness.
Mhm. Right. So even for moms who maybe aren't sure what's going on, or "Hey, what is this PPD thing? Is this really what's going on for me?" The app would be able to help them in their own hands, in their own time, get
Yes.
some of that information.
Yes, exactly, and it's a relief sometimes to moms who are not quite ready or they don't have the energy, right? When you're
Mhm.
suffering, we know how that can zap us, but
Right.
they're not quite ready to reach out to a clinician for whatever reason, but they're willing to download an app, with a touch of
Mhm.
a button,
Mhm. Right.
and they're willing to do a couple of clicks and
Mhm.
start educating themselves, so or their loved ones can start getting educated and then be able to
Mhm.
make that call for them,
Right.
so it's not going to hurt, it can only help.
Right. It's not a replacement for one-on-one
No.
therapy. And it sounds like you have resources.
Yes.
Um where people can find that, this is really having the information at your fingertips and getting your questions
That's
answered.
right.
Um,
That's right,
wow.
exactly.
Wow,
And I'm
that's
glad you said that.
fantastic.
It's not a replacement, just for one-on-one help when we need it. But you can certainly start. I mean, many women will call me, as I'm sure they've called, as they call you, Dr. Cat, and they've already listened to a couple of audios. So they've already
Right.
possibly gotten a book in their hands, hopefully a good one. Hopefully
Right.
one of ours, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So I was saying they've already gotten some information from an app, from a book, from a film, and then they're ready to make the call, to
Mhm.
and get some one-on-one help.
So really, this could be a great bridge from kind of knowing or feeling what in the world is going on with me to, oh my gosh, I think this might be what's happening, and giving them that empowerment and the support to reach out and get the one-on-one help that they might need.
Absolutely. And in addition, if they already know, if they've already received a diagnosis or they're sure
Uh-huh.
what's going on, there's still it's still very worthwhile getting more information and more thorough educating about the topic. And I also have a special offer on that app. It's some free time with me. So oh
What?
yeah,
Wow. That's
so you can
amazing.
click on that one. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you where to find it, but if you download it, you'll see. No, really, it's not a secret, but it'll be very obvious actually to how to contact me and the offer I'm giving for a few minutes. And I can do a lot in a few minutes, just like you can, Dr. Cat. We go right to the hardest stuff, and in a very practical way. So if you wanted to reach me, actually, you can reach me through my website too, very, very easily. But the app will actually offer you some free consulting, some real consulting. For no charge. So I
Amazing.
absolutely, yes, I welcome any of your listeners or all of your listeners to take full advantage of that.
Wow. And just, if anybody has gone over to Dr. Shosh's website yet, there's this really cool piece where you can send a voice message to Dr. Shosh straight through her website. That is pretty cool. Someone comes and sees this and is like, wow, I can just talk to you directly,
That's
and
right.
then
Straight
you
through the
get back to them.
computer. Yep. The voice message me. Yep. This happened again twice today. So
Really?
absolutely. Yeah.
And we're just still in the morning.
Oh, but remember when you're working with people internationally, they might be up,
Yeah,
you're sleeping. So
that is
I
true.
often wake up to messages from,
That's
from
true.
various
That's
countries. Yeah.
I'm energized by your energy and your passion around this work. It's you've been doing this for a while. You're a leading expert. You have done so much to propel this field forward. Maternal mental health issues being brought out onto into the public, and really I appreciate your really down to earth perspective, and this not like what you were saying before around this should be for
That's
everyone.
right.
It's not for one specific profession to be addressing or getting trained in, or
That's right.
we're all human here,
That's right.
as it turns
We're
out.
all in this together. We're all in this
Right.
together. And no matter which
Yeah.
what capacity we're working in the field or we're just interested about it, we can all. Gosh, I know how corny this sounds, but it's true. We
Mhm.
are all learning and gleaning from each other, and we've all got something to offer here, even if it's just knowing more,
Mhm.
and chatting with somebody over the produce section in your supermarket, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
ripple effect is enormous. And thank you, by the way, for all
Yes.
of your very, very kind words. And I know you're a kindred spirit, which is why I'm on
Yes.
your show to begin with. I mean, I
Thank
love
you.
what you do, and I'm happy
Thank
to
you.
support your projects. I know your heart
Thank
is in
you.
exactly the same place.
Absolutely. Thank you. I really, really am honored and appreciate you taking the time to be with us on Mom in Mind. And for all of our listeners, I will have all of Dr. Shosh's information in the show notes and direct you back to Dr. Shosh's website, www.drshosh.com, DRSHOSH.com, where you can find all of this information and get resources, get the help, get the support, get the training, and feel better about the work that you do as a clinician, as a support person. So all of these things are available all the time. So thank you, Dr. Shosh, for being available and making all of this support and training available to others.
Oh, my pleasure. And again, thank you for the invitation, Dr. Kat. Keep up your great work.
Thanks. I'm hopeful to have you back on with your next big project.
Anytime.
Thank you. By joining us today and listening, you're a part of the growing community of people who are aware and concerned for mothers and families during this beautiful and sometimes very difficult time of life. Please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review this free podcast so that Mom and Mind can be found by moms, families, and providers who will benefit from hearing our talks. If you or someone you know is having a hard time, help is available. Please look for resources for help at momandmind.com, where you will also find links and information from today's episode. Thank you for listening and being a part of the Mom and Mind community.